welcome back to another YouTube video, and today we're going to talk about the future of Kingdom Hearts. So, I would like to speak about something regarding Kingdom Hearts that everyone probably has the same idea on regarding the future of Kingdom Hearts, and that is their villains. Kingdom Hearts has a pretty good track record with each villain in Kingdom Hearts regarding each thing. So, if we look up each of the villains in Kingdom Hearts, things go on regarding each of them from each game that makes them very, let's say, compatible. Now, I'm not going to bring up Master Xehanort in this video because he is the last boss in Kingdom Hearts 3, and while people already have opinions about him, and while technically he's literally right here because he's young Xehanort. So, we're going to talk about each villain from the Xehanort saga and talk about, is there any other villain that Nomura could create that would be better than Ansem, Xemnas, or young Xehanort in their original games? Because if we speak here, I do know a lot of people like Yuzora. Yuzora is pretty cool, but I don't think he's going to be a villain. I do think Yuzora is just going to be an anti-hero. And we haven't seen much from the Master of Masters yet, but I do like the Master of Masters, but he's technically connected to Master Xehanort, so I really don't count him as a separate villain either. I'm trying to say, will Nomura be able to create villains not connected to any of the Xehanort saga that survived? So the Master of Masters doesn't count, Luxu doesn't count, and any of the foretellers, they are from the past, but they are trainers with them. They are people that train with the Master of Masters who made the entire plan of what happened today, that is going on today in Kingdom Hearts, so I don't count them either. They are things Nomura has been working on since the beginning. We already like them because we already know who they are. But can Nomura make villains any better than anyone outside of the Xehanort saga? So after Remind, well, technically, Melody and Memory, I don't know when he's going to start doing this, but any villain after Master Xehanort, Master of Masters, any of the people that Master Xehanort knew, could there be a villain that could replace Master Xehanort and the other villains he has known as a better antagonist? Can Nomura make a better antagonist for the series? Well, if we were to talk about it right now, I believe he can't. Now, I'm going to explain this to all of you right now. Each of the villains in Kingdom Hearts has a very special connection with the main cast from each, let's say, technically saga. So, what's going to happen to probably the main characters is that they'll meet other villains, and they haven't met the foretellers yet, but I know once they meet them, that will all be explained because Luxu is Xigbar. We all will figure that out soon. They'll probably have a good connection with each other. But regarding any other random character Nomura will create to be a villain, I don't think so. So, we're going to first talk about Ansem. Now, Ansem's connection is with, well, it's right up here, Riku. Ansem in Kingdom Hearts 1 was the first antagonist to ever be shown. And his connection with Riku throughout the series is something that I don't think can be replaced by any other villain. And I'm going to explain this for everyone in a very careful way. So, it doesn't feel like I'm hating on Nomura because I really do like his games. But I think that he gave us the best he could give us. Now, I'm not trying to say Nomura's not a good story writer, because I know a lot of people hate Kingdom Hearts 3, and a lot of people love it. A lot of people hate most of the Kingdom Hearts games, a lot of people love the Kingdom Hearts games. But what I'm trying to say is that I don't think Nomura can create better villains than what we have here, like Ansem. Because if we look at it, yes, he is Master Xehanort, but he's more complicated than that. I have another video explaining the different feelings of each of the Xehanorts. And each Xehanort has their own let's say, grounded reason of why they exist, which is pretty cool. And it's very, easy to understand but complicated at the same time. It's easy for you to understand, but if you dig further into it, the more complicated it becomes. That's really good because that's what stories should be. You can watch the outside of it and watch the tip of the iceberg and enjoy it, but if you go further in the iceberg, you can find more things that make it better. It's going to be harder to pick through the iceberg the deeper you go down because the thicker it becomes, but it makes it better at the end of the day because you know more about the character than you ever thought you could. And see, that's what defines Ansem, Xemnas, and Young Xehanort, and Master Xehanort. Same for Terranort. All the Xehanorts. But I'd like to even explain a thing that Nomura has even shown regarding the characters and each of their, emotions and thoughts regarding anything. I don't know if it's going to pop up. Probably not. No, it's not. Okay, we're going to look it up the other way. But the thing is that I'm trying to explain here is that I don't know if Nomura can make a better villain than any of the Xehanorts. Maybe he could, it's possible, but Yzora is not a enemy. And Master of Masters doesn't count either because he worked with Master Xehanort. So, like I said, anyone out of the Xehanort saga, I don't know if he can make a better villain than them. I will just have to see. But if we look up each of the characters, or main characters at least, here is Riku's heart. And and these are the people in Riku's life that helped him through the most through the darkness, we could say at least. So we have Ansem, the one who gave him the power he's always, let's say, craved for. You have Mickey, the one that was always through by Riku's side, trying to guide him, telling him to fight the darkness. And you have Naminé. Now, Naminé is a very, let's say, interesting one, because Naminé is just a person that was forced into Riku's life because of memories due to the Riku replica. But Naminé is very important to Riku because the Riku replica is something that was Riku. It is something that represented who Riku was. And that's why Naminé is important. It represents his past. All three of these characters represent Riku's past, and one of them is Ansem, one of the main villains in Kingdom Hearts. We do have others, but, this one's pretty cool as well. This is art, though. So, Mickey, Kairi, Sora, you have Diz, you have Terra, you have Ansem, you have all of these characters here. So, now, we're going to go up towards... We're going to look up Sora's heart. Now, the thing is that on Sora's heart, he doesn't actually have any of the villains. He just has his friends, which is pretty cool. But what makes it pretty awesome is that, remember, Sora is technically connected to Ventus, but they are. And because of that, Sora gained a Keyblade because of Ventus. Ventus was connected to Vanitas, and Vanitas is the darkness that was left inside of Ventus that was brought out by Xehanort. That's another villain that a lot of people love that Master Xehanort brought into the story, or Nomura. And then you have also the other part of him, two parts of him technically, which are Xion and Roxas. And both of them, their main enemy, of course, Roxas right here. Their main enemy at the time was Xemnas. You can say Riku for Roxas, but we aren't going to count Riku right now. But these two, their main enemies were Xemnas, which is another main villain created from Nomura by the Xehanort saga. And if you lead all of these characters up, like we did in Kingdom Hearts 3, Sora helped all of the characters through thick and thin no matter what. And all of his other selves, he could feel their pain. And the one that rested in his heart, Ventus, that gave him the power to wield a Keyblade, he felt his pain as well through all the villains that have caused them problems. That Sora wasn't there to stop but Ansem at the time. And Sora wasn't even able to stop Ansem at first, who possessed his best friend Riku. So that's what I'm trying to say here. Ansem, I don't know if any villain could replace his, let's say, mark on Riku. I think that Ansem cannot be replaced as a main antagonist to Riku ever, probably in Kingdom Hearts. Maybe Nomura can shock me and change that, but we will see. Now, we're going to go to everyone's favorite villain, Xemnas. I'm just going to say this flat out right now. Nomura cannot make any villain better than Xemnas. I don't really need to explain myself of why Xemnas is the best villain in Kingdom Hearts, probably. But I'm going to do that for you all right now. His connection with Sora is the best thing in Kingdom Hearts. I'm just going to say that right now. His connection with Sora is literally the best thing in Kingdom Hearts. They bounce off each other perfectly. One believes that hearts are nothing more than something that can be replaced and replenished by science and by using their bodies as a nobody to have its goal be complete. While the other one disagrees and believes hearts are something that cannot be changed and should not be messed with because they're one of a kind and everyone has a heart, no matter who you are. That is perfect. That is the perfect ideology for a hero and a villain regarding who they are. It's perfect. And I'm just going to say this. I don't think Nomura can replace Xemnas as a main villain because in Kingdom Hearts 2, he made that game. His theme is also one of the best themes ever to exist in Kingdom Hearts. Him, Ansem, young Xehanort, their themes are godlike. They are... I don't know if there could be any better theme than that. And in my opinion, everyone always thought Kingdom Hearts 3 would have been the last Kingdom Hearts game, but Nomura said it isn't. Which is understandable because he still has the foretellers to use, he still has Xigbar, who is Illusion, he still has the Master of Masters. But I thought after them that the game would be done as well, but no, then he added in Yuzora. So, to think about it regarding what I'm saying now, he already has a bunch of villains we already like. And an anti-hero, which is Yuzora. But after the foretellers and the Master of Masters are defeated and Lushu's defeated and we figure out who Yuzora is, what other villain can he create? All of the villains we have met so far in Kingdom Hearts all were introduced in the Xehanort Saga. So that's what I'm trying to say here. Once the Xehanort Saga technically is over, because it isn't, when Nomura says the Xehanort Saga is over, it isn't at all. Literally, in the Melody of Memories trailer, Kairi has memories of Terranort, so his saga isn't over yet. Nomura, if his saga is over, then he would only be mentioned during times of importance of what they've dealt with. He wouldn't still be literally a main thought in an entire game. So, a main figure of a problem, technically, and something of interest. So, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that. I feel as if Nomura says it's the end of the Xehanort Saga, but it really isn't. Nomura knows he can make money off of these characters, because these characters are fan favorites, and I don't think they're replaceable in any way, shape, or form. And if you say they are, sure. I might agree with you, because yeah, he could make a better villain than Xemnas, but then he would have to try extra hard. It's really difficult. He could make a better villain than Ansem, but that's hard, because you can't make a villain good unless they have a connection with the hero. A hero can only be as strong as their villain. And don't just make a bad guy just to make one, and make him crazier and more bombastic than Xemnas and Xehanort in them because you want to make the tension higher. That's not a good villain. So Nomura, I'm telling you right now, you kind of used a lot of your greatest probably thoughts and processes on these characters. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe someone will prove me wrong down in the comments below, but this is actually a very important thought, because this could kill Kingdom Hearts. if Kingdom Hearts doesn't have a good story basis to follow and good villains to help build the story with the heroes, or any threat at all or any pressure, Kingdom Hearts could die because there's nothing there to make fans come back at all. Now we're going to talk about Young Xehanort. Young Xehanort was the main boss in DDD, Dreams Drop Distance. Now, Young Xehanort's a good villain. I don't think that he's a villain that is a staple to the game, but at the same time I do, so please listen why. Young Xehanort is Master Xehanort. Young Xehanort was the one that was told in the past by Ansem to get other selves of him to make 13 vessels, which means technically Young Xehanort behind the scenes was doing so much work. Think about it. He was collecting hearts of his other selves to put in the nobodies of the organization. That's a lot of work. Not counting Xemnas, Ansem, Terranort, and Young Xehanort. But the thing is that if you look in Master Xehanort, but the others had to be Norded, and they still had to be Norded. So it's not like it's that easy. And technically, Ansem and Xemnas' eyes weren't yellow at first. They were more orange. Now, that could be color correction, or color correcting, I don't know, or the art in general, but whatever. Also, Young Xehanort met the Master of Masters, Nomura. So, yeah, you keep saying this, yes, this is the end of the Xehanort saga, but Nomura, you introduced one of your main villains to another main villain with another villain that all three had technically the same goal but didn't at the same time. The Master of Masters wants to get rid of the fake light. Master Xehanort wants to reset the world to get rid of everything, even the fake light that he spoke about, the Master of Masters. And Lushu wanted to help the Master of Masters' goal come true, so he helped Master Xehanort with his plan. They all your big villains, all work together. They all are in the Master Xehanort saga. So technically, I'm gonna say this again, his saga isn't over. It's more of just his saga is on pause. Because you have a whole nother game with literally Student X or Ansem experimenting on someone. It could be Kairi, we don't know. So it's weird. I don't know how I feel about this thought process, because Nomura knows that he can't stop talking about these characters. If he does, Kingdom Hearts isn't Kingdom Hearts anymore. Kingdom Hearts has been going on for so long now. Kingdom Hearts can vote now. And what I'm going to explain to everyone that's watching this video is that if Master Xehanort, Ansem, Xemnas, Young Xehanort, Terranort, let's say they all just stopped existing after Kingdom Hearts 3 Remade, and they never were spoken about again. That's not Kingdom Hearts. Now, you could say, oh, well, you have the Master of Masters, but he met Young Xehanort. So, Young Xehanort is still in his mind, technically, even same for Sora's in them. And probably the Master of Masters will even mention Xehanort. Lushu, which is Xigbar, is going to mention Xehanort. They're all going to mention him. And I could see Nomura making a plot twist later on. I'm going to make a whole nother video about, so just get ready for that. But I just don't see a reason of how these villains can be replaced. I don't know. And so that's why I'm making this video, to see all of your opinions on this. Is the Xehanort saga replaceable? Is it really? Are any of these villains really replaceable? I know a lot of people don't like Terranort or don't like Young Xehanort, but that's the point. You're not supposed to like a villain. Now, you can like a villain on their characteristics and their design, but you're not supposed to agree with their outlook. Well, not fully, because you can agree with Master Xehanort if you please. But Everyone likes Xemnas. If you don't like Xemnas, okay, sure, that means you like Ansem. And if you don't like Ansem, sure, that means you like Young Xehanort. If you don't like Young Xehanort, sure, that means you like Terranort. If you don't like Terranort, sure, that means you just like Master Xehanort. And if you don't like any of them, that's fine with me as well. You don't have to like any of the Xehanorts. You don't have to like any of them at all. You could do with the Master of Masters, who might be Demix, which we'll never know until it happens. So let me hear what you guys think about this in the comments below. And tell me, do you think that the characters in Kingdom Hearts will ever find or fight villains that will be more interactive with them than any of the villains in the Xehanort saga? Please let me know below, and thanks you all for watching, and I'll see you all next time.